Marvel is built upon the characters and stories that Stan Lee pioneered, with each and every one of them a superhero. So it's only natural to wonder, what does the father of superhero fiction think the best power is? For years, kids have been asking me what's the greatest superpower. I always say luck. If you're lucky, everything works. If that's the criteria, then these are some of the luckiest heroes in the universe. There's a pastiche of power players in the running, and each of them displays unique levels of ability that have garnered them clout with Marvel readers. Regardless, only these 10 can claim to be the most powerful Marvel heroes. So what makes someone powerful in the Marvel Universe? It's more than just a gimmick. Each hero has their own respective set of assets. The latter includes squaring off against their superpowered comrades, or many times Marvel heroes are saving the universe. The powers on display range from sheer brute strength to the intricacies of influencing electrons. First of all, identifying any lasting effects on the world around them speaks to the overwhelming force of their power. Does the hero use their power to impact the wider universe? Was the decision to utilize their abilities made in good faith, or was it out of a selfish nature? Finally, we're only looking at heroes for this list. Anti-heroes such as Loki, the Punisher, or Venom are just a little too bad for this list. But neutral figures like the One Above All and the Living Tribunal will be left out of this one as well. Our list is exclusively for those who choose to do right by their fellow Marvel inhabitants. There is power in what could happen, and the hero can use this to their advantage. Our first hero's entire shtick is built on what could happen if he simply opened his mouth. But before we deliver verdicts of power, make sure to subscribe to Plot Armor Comics and ring the bell for notifications. Number 10. Black Bolt. Remember the aforementioned influence of electrons? Meet 𝗚𝗂𝗿𝗃𝗃, the Inhuman King. He was born to the Inhuman elites Agon and Ninda, but the story of his powers begin while he was in the womb. Bolt would be exposed to the Terrigen Mist as an embryo and develop formidable abilities as a result. This would manifest itself in the young Inhuman's voice, which would demolish anything in its vicinity. Placed in a chamber impervious to his powers, Bolt would learn to control and channel them through the suit that he wears. Bolt's abilities are the result of the interaction between the electrons within his body and a unique organic material in the speech center of his brain. His existence is inhumanly ironic. Bolt is a man of few words, yet they are his greatest weapon. But they aren't the only sources of strength for him. Bolt also enjoys superhuman speed and strength, demonstrating superior agility and matching blows with several high-profile Marvel heroes. He was the only one capable of stopping Hulk during the latter's rampage in Attilan. First, the Inhuman King attempted to meet the Jade Giant's savage physical prowess. We see a glimpse of his electron blast powers as he hopes they will be enough to immobilize Hulk, but the latter just wouldn't stop. Black Bolt would resort to his vocal talents to incapacitate his fellow hero, but it wouldn't take much. A mere whisper from Bolt concussed his opponent, as well as leaving a massive crater in its wake. Black Bolt has exhibited a more expanded repertoire than having a great punch. For example, he often communicates with his wife, Medusa, using telepathy. Recently, Bolt developed a variant of the Spidey sense, detecting pressure points and weaknesses in certain structures. Also, the dude can fly. Finally, we must acknowledge the political power that likely comes with being the Inhuman King. Other nations definitely take Bolt seriously when he visits. The United States affords him diplomatic immunity. However, he possesses no such immunity with us here at Plot Armor Comics. Bolt tried to take on our next hero twice and ended up needing assistance. Number 9. Gladiator. While it sounds like a demotion, Kallark's formidable array of powers renders Bolt's royalty unremarkable. When Kallark was named Gladiator, he underwent enhancements that granted him the standard superhuman cache, including invulnerability, super speed, and super strength. These powers are demonstrated in a number of instances throughout the comics. He's endured a supernova explosion, reached speeds of 100 times the speed of light, and ripped the Baxter building from its foundation during a scuffle with the Fantastic Four. His most unbeatable feat of power comes in a small, oft-overlooked solo story that sees Gladiator traversing the breadth of space. He charges through the flaming inferno of a star and tears a decrepit planet apart out of pure frustration. Writer Len Kaminski captures this lonely hero's reckless actions in beautiful and haunting prose as he approaches the helpless planet. This lifeless rock has weathered the death of galaxies. All that is ultimately meaningless against the rage of a god. To Gladiator, it is simply there. And because it is there, it must become a receptacle for his building frustration. His capacity for flying and I-beams draw comparisons to DC's Man of Steel. His name, Kallark, is a combination of Superman's two names, Kal and Clark. He's been shown to heal incredibly quickly in the instances where he is injured and doesn't seem to age. His only weakness is magic. He's regarded as courageous when he goes up against sorcery without hesitation. 𝗂𝗏 is native to Strontia, a planet that was part of the Shi'ar Empire centuries ago. The planet would be held ransom by Magister 𝗏𝗏, who is seeking the best of every race to serve him in his Imperial Guard. 𝗏𝗏 would engender the slaughter of the Council of Elders, the governing body of the Strontians. 𝗏𝗏 would find his champion in the arresting 𝗂𝗏 and christen him the Gladiator. He'd earned that title by defeating 𝗚𝘂𝗿𝗃, a Shi'ar avatar of the Phoenix Force. Despite combating the Phoenix with the entire Imperial Guard, it was the Gladiator himself who single-handedly decapitated 𝗚𝘂𝗃. His history of violent conflict mirrors the journey of our next hero, a patriarch known to fans of both Marvel and mythology. Number 8. Zeus. Though DC's Man of Steel may be compared to a god, Zeus actually is one. Marvel's Zeus hails from the god realm of Olympus, and his physiology grants him invulnerability, super speed, and super strength. But the Olympian is no barbarian and can manipulate mystical energies, using these abilities to transport armies, project his image to Earth, and stand toe-to-toe with Thor. When the god of thunder is mysteriously ferried into the midst of the Trojan War, Zeus takes notice, and the two confront each other atop Mount Ida. It is there that Thor declares Zeus his elder, after the latter calls down a rainstorm during their meeting. He discovers Zeus's command of lightning as well as his stifling of Mjolnir in a subsequent duel that would turn the night into day. All the same, it is but two gods which do rock both heaven and earth this day, the brash and youthful Thor, god of thunder, and Zeus, the king of the firmament and the lord of gods and men. Finally, Zeus proves capable in the area of the mind. He can comprehend and speak any language via Allspeak. He has demonstrated some prophetic powers. During the Trojan War, the Olympians would be granted a vision of the war between his people and Asgard. The war in the vision would take place several centuries later. But while Zeus may be a familiar powerhouse in the real world, perhaps no character is a more distinguished strongman than our next hero. Number 7. Hulk. Was it a tragedy that made Bruce Banner the way he is, or was it good fortune? The argument could be made for either side, because while Dr. Banner manifests his anger in an infamously unhealthy way, the benefits of his hulking out are an exhaustive list. For starters, Hulk features all of the staples of superhuman abilities, including invulnerability, speed, and strength, but with each having its own distinct Hulk affectation. His invulnerability is legendary in and of itself. Hulk has withstood nuclear explosions, high rates of intense pressure, and a massive war core detonation that leveled the planet of Sakaar. However, he need not have known the ravages of nuclear fallout because he possesses the speed to outrun it. His legs are brawny, massive structures that can propel the Hulk at ridiculous levels of velocity. This leads to super speed and allows the hero to leap great distances. Hulk's strength allows him to perform the typical monstrous feats of power like smashing cars, buildings, and other combatants, but his thunderclap is something of legend. He's literally overpowered the devil with that thing. He's been agile enough to catch incoming missiles and mortars on multiple occasions and safeguard himself from other super friends he's clashed with. Captain America attempted to blindside Hulk during the latter's fight with his cousin She-Hulk. He would hurl his shield at the Hulk's back only for the Jade Giant to swiftly spin around and catch the projectile. Cap and Hawkeye's look after the fact says it all. A clash with Quicksilver hints at the Hulk's unmatched speed and reflexes. The cocky young mutant sprints towards the Hulk at full speed only to be swatted away like a fly. I think Hulk says it best.
Hulk doesn't know where he is, but he knows what he is. The strongest man on Earth, on any world.
The same scuffle simultaneously reveals a weakness of Hulk. During a subsequent showdown with Black Bolt, yes, that Black Bolt, the Inhuman uses his voice to bring the Hulk down once again. This is a different occurrence from the whole crater episode we discussed earlier. However, Hulk isn't killed by Bolt's power as any other being might have been. He's able to muster a few feeble steps after the fact before finally passing out. He's back on his feet a few moments later after the Inhumans decide to send him into space. What is it with his friends sending Hulk into space? It's like some sort of twisted destiny of his. He'll always end up abandoned to the void of space. A tragic character, no doubt, but the most tragic Marvel character? I think our next hero is a definite contender for that title. Number 6. Scarlet Witch. Wanda Maximoff has become something of a pop culture icon, and this probably stems from a dichotomy in her character. She possesses immense, terrifying levels of power, yet is a gentle, tortured soul desperate for fulfillment. a power offset by a terrible weakness, is prone to exploitation by a number of antagonists that the Scarlet Witch has faced over the years. She was born with an affinity for magic but found herself enhanced by the High Evolutionary. The latter altered her to be more hospitable to the mystical energies of the universe. Practically created for the purpose of mysticism, Wanda calls upon chaos magic to alter reality and channel other forms of energy. As if she didn't already have enough advantages in the ways of witchcraft, the elder god Chthon granted her his blessing, which increased her capacity for magic but added the risk of possession. As she can alter the fabric of reality itself, Wanda has demonstrated the ability to manipulate life, nature, superpowers, and time. She healed the young Wiccan's injuries after he was bullied by simply touching his nose. While she was serving on the Avengers, the Scarlet Witch would share some insight into her influence over the natural world, amidst her pummeling of the opposition. Power over natural elements, wind, earth, water, and such comes more easily to me. It's man-made things or complex effects that I need to work up to. She would steal the powers of the Emerald Warlock, who would declare himself her arch-enemy. She'd harness the elastic abilities of Miss Marvel and unwind the young hero while under the control of Chthon. Finally, Wanda has demonstrated control over time. She would place the mind-controlled Thor in slow motion during the Avengers' fight against the Red Skull. The description of her magic is spellbinding, pun intended. The air goes cold around her and electric around her. Time slows down. The laws of order give way to disruption of pure chaos. The Scarlet Witch sinks into a trance, plummeting deeply into the cosmic well of chaos energy. Tapping directly into the source of her power, she is transformed into a living conduit of pure disorder. Does the Scarlet Witch have any weaknesses then? It's better to understand her weaknesses rather than her limitations. She has accrued a reputation for being mentally unstable, which led to the infamous House of M storyline where she created an entirely new reality for herself. The rest of the heroes on our list possess some variation of omniscience, which Wanda does not. But with the all-knowing characters, we must begin with a hero whose power is his ability to see the many outcomes and lives scattered across time and space. Number 5. Uatu the Watcher. It is his duty to observe and never interfere with the events unfolding before him. It's all in the name. Uatu is the Watcher, not the intervener. Despite this change, Uatu possesses power enough to affect the happenings of the Marvel Universe. First, the Watcher is tremendously intelligent thanks to the vast amounts of knowledge he has accumulated through his observances. Following the death of the One, a Watcher who serves as a library of all his people's knowledge, Uatu confronts the Celestials, demanding to know what happened. Caught in the middle, members of the Fantastic Four and Fantastic Force watch in awe at the divine conflict unfolding before them. Psylord, a mind reader, tries to get a handle on the situation by reading Uatu's mind. And boy did he regret it. A brief glimpse into the mind of a Watcher nearly crippled Psylord, with him exclaiming that it was like his mind was on fire. The Watchers are said to be the oldest beings in the universe, yet their origins are largely unknown. Uatu comes up blank in regard to the history of his kind.
We once had a name as a race, but it is long forgotten. Humans thought us to be fallen angels back when they glimpsed one of our kind upon their world thousands of years ago. We call ourselves Watchers.
So, Uatu's abilities are either natural or the result of his ever-increasing knowledge of the universe and its secrets. Regardless, besides his comic awareness, Uatu displays significant transportation abilities. He and the High Tribunal of Watchers can transform themselves into living energy and beam to their destination. He enlists and ferries the Human Torch and the Thing to medieval times to stop Kang the Conqueror from, well, conquering the kingdom of that era. Finally, in nearly all of his appearances, Uatu has shown to grow and shrink in size depending on the situation. It's all about getting the right view. This power is Uatu's equivalent of moving seats in the theater. It's not all rainbows and unicorns for the Watchers, though. The aforementioned death of the One, as well as Uatu's own demise at the hands of Nick Fury, demonstrate that the race is not impervious to damage. However, there turned out to be more to it than that, as Uatu seemed to know his time had come. Plus, one of his eyes had been stolen at that point, so he was more than likely significantly depowered. Still, could we not find a better assailant than Nick Fury? The next hero on our list may have been a safer bet. Number 4. Hercules. Author Veronica Roth once wrote, "A brave man acknowledges the strength of others." We're the bravest here at Plot Armor Comics, so we've chose to acknowledge the strength of the man, the myth, the legendary Hercules. The fortitude of Marvel's Hercules is known far and wide thanks to the mythological basis for the hero, but several instances throughout Marvel canon illustrate this common knowledge in some spectacularly fresh ways. For example, when the outlandish city stealers attempted to swipe the entire island of Manhattan, Hercules would tug the island back into place after being chained to it. Like his father Zeus, Hercules never tires or grows weary, nor does his strength appear to have any concrete limits. He never ages or experiences any kind of injury at all. But perhaps his most impressive show of power was not a battle, but rather a seemingly thoughtful act done for one of his fellow gods. When Atlas and his Titans lost a war against the Olympians, Zeus punished the former by having him act as the Axis Mundi, or the world axis. A day comes when Hercules approaches the burdened Atlas and offers to hold up the heavens in exchange for a couple of golden apples. Hercules doesn't seem at all fazed by this strenuous activity, continuing a casual conversation with Atlas while doing so. Though he ends up tricking Atlas into giving him the apples for no reward, Hercules proves he's one of the most powerful beings in the universe. So what if Hercules didn't have his powers? Regardless, the Olympian displays great prowess in battle and has gotten the better of several heroes in one-on-one bouts. His most reputable rival is Thor, and Hercules has matched the God of Thunder's skills in combat on multiple occasions. During their first meeting, Hercules manages to sling Mjolnir right back at Thor after he had thrown it. But Hercules has one surefire way of getting hurt: the blood of the Hydra, an 8-headed snake-like monster that the hero was tasked with killing. Hercules would use arrows coated in Hydra blood to kill a centaur named Nessus. His second wife Deianira would utilize the centaur's tainted blood to synthesize a love charm, the ironically named Amulet of Love. This charm would be attached to the amulet, which would ultimately come into play when Hercules' lack of faithfulness came to light. Deianira's amulet set the Olympian on fire as soon as he touched it. He attempted to cool off in a nearby lake, but it was no good. So ends the mighty tale of Hercules. But not just yet. Zeus would resurrect him and bring him to live among the gods. So the moral of the story is, if you cheat on your wife, you'll be made a god? Wait, do we have that right? Don't worry about it, because our next hero has a perfectly family-friendly image. Before saving lives, he was a meth addict. Yikes, this might be rough. Number 3, Sentry. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sentry. And yes, Robert Reynolds did overcome his meth addiction to become the Sentry. But that should only amplify the magnitude of his story. Having overcome so much to gain more is the proverbial story of triumph over adversity, which rings true for the story of the Sentry as well. Following the end of World War II, Canada and the United States combined forces to christen Project Sentry. They sought to improve upon the super soldier serum that had given the world Captain America. However, the new formula would ultimately collect dust in the lab of an unknown professor as Project Sentry fell to pieces. In the late 1950s, Reynolds broke into said professor's lab and discovered the Sentry formula. His wife at the time, Lindy, would speak of that fateful night and her troubled husband. He broke in there looking for drugs. He was an addict. He was a junkie. He didn't just take that serum once. Once was an accident. His secret is, once he got a taste of it, of the power, he did what every junkie does. He did whatever he could do to get whatever he needed. What was Reynolds, this addict, given as a result of consuming the serum? A succinct way of putting it is that he was granted the power of 1,000 exploding suns. So he draws at least some of his power from solar energy, aka the sun. This energy consequently allows him to possess invulnerability, super speed, and super strength. Interestingly, his invulnerability is tied to his emotional state. Should Sentry desire to be harmed, he can be. This can be seen when Thor is able to incinerate him after Reynolds discovered that he had caused enormous damage. However, this brings up a rather unpleasant aspect of the Sentry, the Void, an embodiment of all of Reynolds' negative characteristics. This alternate personality presents itself whenever Sentry uses his powers and carries all of the abilities that Sentry does, albeit with an insatiable hunger to consume everything in its path. The Void is shown to snap the Hulk's bones clean in half, no doubt demonstrating why the Jade Giant fell so far down on this list. During a nasty taunt from the Void, Sentry speeds towards the sun so that his altar cannot hurt Lindy. He accomplishes this in a matter of seconds, whereas it takes Light a total of 8 minutes to do the same. To go along with the Sentry's gnarly origins, Reynolds has a rather gruesome habit of dealing with his adversaries. On 2 separate occasions, Sentry has ripped his opponents in half. He first did this to Carnage in orbit after the symbiote escaped the raft. Then he did the same to Ares. Yes, he ripped the God of War in half. Does he need any more bona fides? And yet there are 2 heroes more powerful than Reynolds. Odin's beard. Who could this be? Number 2. Odin. We all love a good father-son competition, and it was a close one, choosing between Thor and his father Odin. However, one particular characteristic of the latter gave him the win: the Odin Force. A magical energy unique to the Allfather, Odin was capable of magnificent feats when tapped into this inexplicable mysticism. The spectrum of deeds resulting from this power is truly awe-inspiring. For starters, when Loki unleashes Skag and Surtur upon Earth, Odin pauses time and transports the entirety of the human race to another dimension, all with a flick of the wrist. Later, Odin stands opposite members of the Infinity Watch when they descend upon Asgard. Confronted by both Silver Surfer and Thanos, Odin keeps both of them at bay and entertains their attacks long enough to have a memorable exchange with Thanos.
Titan, you are more worthy a foe than I anticipated, but let not this compliment be taken in any erroneous manner. Your doom is assured. Scientifically acquired might cannot hope to stand against my own divine mystic power.
And Odin backs that up following a scuffle that sees him almost playfully slap Surfer and Thanos away. Odin channels the Odin Force and blasts Thanos with his full might. The Mad Titan is consequently sent careening through the kingdom of Asgard. The Odin Force allows the Allfather to cast foes into deep space on a whim, such as he did with the feuding Absorbing Man and Loki following the pair's failed attack on the realm. And should anything bad happen to those around Odin, he has the power to resurrect them. He does this for both Thor and Brunhilde when they perish, effectively restoring them to their prime. Along with his Olympian counterparts Hercules and Zeus, Odin can communicate in any language thanks to the Allspeak. However, he does exhibit one significant weakness: the Odin Sleep. To replenish the almighty Odin Force, the Asgardian king must sleep periodically, and this proves to be an exceedingly vulnerable state for him to be in. His Odin Force is diminished and he is free of any cosmic awareness. Therefore, Odin becomes immortal for this brief stint of his life. Now, dear viewers, if a god of Odin's stature didn't make it to the #1 spot, it's gotta be some crazy bizarre creature feature sort of being to one-up all of these formidable heroes, right? Nope, it's a kid, a boy, just a little child. Welcome to the Marvel Universe. Number 1. Franklin Richards. The name Richards is practically royalty in Marvel lore. It first brings to mind Reed Richards, the great Mr. Fantastic and patriarch of the Fantastic Four. Then it may conjure up images of Kang the Conqueror or Iron Lad, both variants of Nathaniel Richards, who is in turn a descendant of Reed. Given the stature associated with the surname, it should come as no surprise that the most powerful hero in the Marvel Universe comes from this family. Franklin Richards is the son of Reed and Susan Storm, and his birth came with an enormous amount of baggage. The radiation that had granted Susan Storm her powers had affected her body's makeup. When it came time to give birth to Franklin, Reed, Susan's brother, Johnny, and the Thing would venture into the negative zone to find the cosmic control rod. This would allow Reed to manage Susan's radiation levels, thereby allowing her a safe birth and the couple a healthy baby. It would warrant a fight with Annihilus to seize the rod, but once the heroes did, Susan would deliver Marvel its most powerful force for good. The radiation present in Susan would affect Franklin, constituting him a mutant upon birth. He would display a laundry list of abilities as he grew older, including telepathy and astounding control over energy and matter. These powers would excite Victor Von Doom to the point of him contemplating taking on the Celestials with Franklin at his disposal. Franklin has had several run-ins with Galactus, all of which ended poorly for the World Eater. Galactus would assume the role he often delegated to the Silver Surfer, visiting Earth and warning Reed Richards when Franklin's powers began activating later as an adult. Franklin would eventually revive Galactus in order to take on the might of two Celestials and win. Perhaps his most stunning feat came when the villainous Onslaught nearly defeated the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. To save his family and friends, Franklin would create an entirely new pocket dimension for them to escape to. To defeat the greatest threat the world has known, the heroes were prepared to sacrifice themselves, their presence scorched from the very earth. But one small boy with hope enough for the world entire would not allow this. In that moment, time and space froze, reality warped, and perhaps hope was reborn. Franklin bonds with Nathaniel Gray, a variant of Cable, by stating that the two of them could practically do anything. And he's right. Franklin Richards can do anything, with powers rivaling those of the Celestials. As a result, we here at Plot Armor Comics are fairly confident that Franklin would best Odin, Sentry, Hercules, and the rest that preceded him here. His powers and potential are limitless, and therefore, he is the strongest hero in the Marvel Universe. Well, the verdicts are delivered. Those were our 10 most powerful Marvel heroes. As their stories continue to unfold, power levels can fluctuate depending on the need of the stories, the artists, the writers, and other factors. But thanks to Stan Lee's insight, it always comes back to luck. So, did these heroes just get lucky? Let us know in the comments down below. Well, that does it for this video. On behalf of Plot Armor Comics, I've been 𝗚𝘂𝗿𝗃, and we thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.